What's up, everybody? Peter Exodus O'Cloughley here. Welcome to another episode of All Things Music, episode 21. We've done a lot of these, and of course, when I do All Things Music, it's either history related or it's current events. And so the title of today's, I've done a couple of episodes called To Take a Throne and to look at the history of how, going from Elvis to the Beatles and some of these other, where some, Michael Jackson's rise and whatnot. There was a time there where there wasn't, particularly in the early 2000s. I mean, who was king? Interesting. There wasn't a successor to Michael Jackson for a while. I mean, you could argue maybe Lil Wayne takes it up for a little bit for a while, but he certainly, you look at Lil Wayne's record. I remember a couple years back, it came out that Lil Wayne had more top 100 songs than Prince and Michael combined. Well, a lot of that's how the charts are done now, but maybe Lil Wayne fits that bill. But today, it's an interesting phenomenon that's happening because it's the big record companies have not hidden the fact that it's harder for them to break new acts, and Sabrina Carpenter's the big breakout of 2024. So the question is, who's next? Because we're at we're going to look at history a little here, but we're at a point where usually, there's a changeover, and I don't see a changeover happening, particularly when it comes to ages, the age of the kings and queens. So if you go back and you look at classic rock, 1981, the Rolling Stones released Tattoo You. Start Me Up was on that. That was their last number one hit, a huge hit. That was their last, song that kind of, consumed popular culture. Mick and Keith were 37 at the time. So there's that theme now. It's going to be an age of 37. So Michael Jackson releases History, Past, Present, and Future, 1995. He was 37. I remember vividly when that came out, and I was just kind of like, I remember the big one was the Earth song, which I love this song now, but I remember watching, when I first saw the video on MTV, and I was like, Mike has a new album out. Oh, okay, interesting. And went along, it wasn't before. Even Dangerous still had that, man, Mike, everybody's like, oh, Mike's, new Michael Jackson album. By, history, everybody's kind of like, as he went from being like a show-stopping act to a what's the term we like to use? A legacy act. Prince had the same, probably, 1995, Prince was 37, the Gold Experience. And then, that was, he was still feuding with, that still got some radio play. A couple songs got radio play off that album. His last big album that hit number one was the Diamonds and Pearls. I think that was 91. So even after that, Prince didn't get a whole lot of airplay, and everybody was just kind of like, unless you were a hardcore Prince fan like myself, you were kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, Prince has a new album out. Got to the point where, of course, Prince was post, emancipation. He was, jumping from label to label, every other album and releasing stuff. And I remember when I can't even remember the name of that album now. My memory's not what it used to be. But the 98 album, I didn't even know it was out. I was in Target and I was like, oh, Prince has a new album out. Yeah, but let me get that. I can't do that to Prince. I'll be right back. Rave Unto the Joy, fantastic was the Prince album I was trying to think about. So yeah, 37. That's an interesting number. And who else hits that? Where else does that happen? That you're at 37. And I say that because Kendrick Lamar and Drake are both 37, and of course they had their big feud earlier this year. And I'm gonna do another episode. It's been sitting here for a while, Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, and I'm glad I sat on it because Kendrick just released a new album on Friday, so now I'll see, let that sit and see how that moves, which is a good thing. Sometimes, you don't get to something and there's a reason for it. But they're both 37, and I don't see anybody replacing either one. And let me be clear, and I will, make further clarification when I do part 2, but Kendrick Lamar is the king of hip hop. Drake is still the king, and that's not going to change of pop music. So Kendrick won the war, but he won the war in the hip hop community. The pop community is bigger, and it remains to be seen what Drake does with this next album. Now, interestingly enough, Beyonce is 43 now, and Taylor Swift is 34. So, the 37, held for it held for the Beatles. It held for the Stones. It held for Michael Jackson. It held for Prince, so to speak. I didn't do Elvis. But Elvis is 42. Elvis was kind of the legacy act before them. You see, I think he was 42 when he passed, and 37 would have put him in the early 70s. So, yeah, that does fit for Elvis, though, too, doing the math. He was around 37 when Suspicious Minds and Burning Love came out, and those were his last big chart. So the 37 works for Elvis, too. Just did it in my head. So it does work for Elvis. So it seems to be, in your late 30s, somewhere 37, 38, 39, 40, as you, stop being a headline and sort of become a legacy act. I don't see successors there, for, Drake or Kendrick Lamar. Now, Drake, Taylor Swift, could be the successor, and Beyonce could be the successor. Now, so the question of, who breaks the mold, so to speak, a little bit. And a little bit of breaking that mold would be Madonna, because Madonna she's kind of relevant until about 2008. Her Hard Candy, I'm a big Madonna fan, but I think that still got a little bit of, 2004 or 5 when Hollywood, I know that still broke. So 2008, she's 50, so she's probably 45 when Hollywood and she was still relevant with those two albums, and the general public still got excited. So Madonna breaks the mold to some extent. In some ways she's Beyonce and Taylor before them. A little bit of TLC. Left Eye. Beyonce's acknowledged she's borrowed from TLC. I think, I can already, Beyonce's already broken that mold and is at 43 is there with Madonna. Taylor's going to do it too. So, we do have some folks, breaking through and going beyond a normal lifespan. I haven't heard Kendrick's new album is getting rave reviews, so Kendrick is going to at least, push through. He doesn't put out stuff every year. So this will probably get Kendrick to 40. Drake has had some good songs that have done well, even though he's gotten criticized for dumping and, doing that data dump a couple months ago. But there's a couple things on there that are good. My feeling is Drake still has some mileage, and there's still some some hits left there, but we'll see. So it looks like, you know, Beyonce, Taylor, Drake, and Kendrick are going to, the 37 rules not going to apply to them. At least that's how it's looking. I think that's pretty safe to say. But it's going to be fun watching. You know, I mean, you still have folks that you know, move, you know, when they drop something new, they're going to get a lot of listens. I mean, there's Post Malone, there's Ariana Grande, you know, there's Olivia Rodrigo, and you know, others that still, I mean, I just heard Jack Harlow's new song. Really like that. He's bringing in that Latin flavor. And I was like, well, what's Jack Harlow going to do? Because you can't be a thug. Well, hey, I like that new cut. I can't remember what it's called. I just heard it for the first time yesterday, so I assume it just dropped last Friday. But, you know, Jack Harlow, I mean, I'm impressed with it, you know, that follow-up he's done. But is he going to run down Drake? Probably not. You know, Eminem's in his 50s. I mean, but Eminem doesn't move like he used to. I mean, culturally, I mean, you still have, you know, the larger culture. You still have diehard Eminem fans that when he releases something, everyone's like, oh, you know, they're like Eminem has a new, but it's the diehards now. Eminem hasn't, you know, moved big in about, you know, since the 2010s, you know, his new stuff. And you know, so I think Eminem is more along the lines of the Stones and Prince and Michael Jackson. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think Eminem is. If he's not, he will be. And 50 years from now, I mean, we're still going to be talking about Eminem. I mean, you know, you can't erase what, you know, the impact he's had on, you know, the popular music. So, but yeah, I guess it's going to be a quick one, but it'll be interesting watching this. So my prediction is that Kendrick and Drake, you know, Kendrick's already moving beyond 37 because, I mean, the reviews are good. I mean, 2024 is the year of Kendrick, you know, with music. I mean, he's doing the Super Bowl, so, you know, he has another, I mean, folks are saying that it's not as, you know, I just have read, I haven't gone in detail and read what folks have to say, but they're saying if it's not his best, it's one of his best. And he has about 3, you know, albums considered, you know, classics. I know he has 3 albums, you know, in at least 3 in the Rolling Stone top 500 of all time, and you know, that ain't moving. So, and Taylor ain't going anywhere. You know, she's 34 now. Taylor ain't going anywhere. She might be 35 now, but she's born in '89. So, you know, Beyonce's already blown past 37. Taylor's gonna do it. Drake still is, you know, he has good stuff. It's still moving. So I think Drake will too. So again, thanks for coming through. It's going to be fun watching this trend. So yeah, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I got 5 albums of my own, about to drop number 6. I record under the name Exodus, X-O-D-U-S. My first album's called Book 1. Is here on the, you know, the YouTube channel connected to the videos, and I'm on also all the streaming services, and I also have 2 science fiction fantasy novels and novella on Amazon, and I write under the name Peter Exodus O'Coffer. So thanks again for coming through, and I will see you next episode.